Okay, so now we're going to talk about participles. And basically, participles are just verbal adjectives. Basically, all you're doing is making a verb modify an adjective. Well, what does that mean? Let's take a look at some English examples so you can get a better understanding. Let's take the verb to give. Okay, so now let's transform that to modify the noun gift. And that would be the gift having been given. Or it can also be translated as the given gift. So let's do another. Let's take the verb to eat. Okay, so now let's make the verb modify man. So it would end up being the eating man, because he's not the one being eaten, he's the one who's eating. And now let's, if you notice, you see that the two examples I gave you are very different. The first participle is in the past tense and passive, while the second participle is present tense and it's active. And in Latin, there are actually 3 different kinds of participles, and we're going to go over each one individually. The first one is very common and perhaps the easiest to form, and it is your perfect passive participle. Let me write this down. 3 types. Your perfect passive, and that's often abbreviated your PPP, perfect passive participle. And we have our future active. And your third one is your present active. And now we can go through each one individually. Let's go through the perfect passive first. Perfect passive. I'll box that off. So, all you have to do is take your 4th principal part, you cross off the US, and you add your first and second declension adjective endings to match the noun that the participle is modifying. So you take your 4th principal part, cross off the us, and then you're going to add first and second adjective endings to match what your participle is modifying. And it is translated as having been blanked or just simply blanked. Okay, so now let's move on to the future active. Future active. Okay, so again, you're going to take your 4th principal part. You're going to cross off the us, and this time, instead of just adding on your endings, you're going to add the or infix, and then you're going to add on your first and second declension adjective endings. And this is going to be translated as about to blank and going to blank. Okay, so finally our third one is the present active. Okay, so for the present active, you're going to take your 2nd principal part, not the 4th principal part, 2nd principal part, and you're going to cross off the last 3 letters, and then you're going to add a connecting vowel for your the imperfect tense connecting vowels. Add connecting vowels, and if you remember, the imperfect tense are A, E, E, IE, and IE for your first, second, third IO, and 4th conjugations respectively. Just in order as written there. And for the nominative singular, you're going to add the ending ns. For the nominative singular, add ns. And for the rest of them, add the ending of nt. And after that, you're going to add on your third declension adjective endings. And that's going to be translated as blanking. Okay, and since that one is a bit more complicated, let's go ahead and do an example of the verb, of the participle. Let's take the verb do, dare, dedi, datu. So we're going to take the second principal part, right over here, cross off the last three letters, we're just left with a D. So then we're going to add, since it's first conjugation, we're going to add the connecting vowel A. So we're ending up with DA. You put your stem in a chart if you want. You put nominative singular or NS for a nominative singular. And for the rest, you add your es, let's just do the genitive singular. And you go ahead, you just add on your endings for third declension adjective endings. Okay, so there you have it. That was those were the only 3 Latin participles.